Okay, today is stretch and strength yoga. So a little bit of strength, building some muscle strength, and a little bit of long stretchy. And if you have blocks, grab them. Something that you can improvise with, go ahead and grab it. Or straps or bands, also handy. So we're going to start seated today.
Oh, I've started seeing so much recently.
We're going to start seated. Just going to start grounding seated. So find a comfortable seat. Start to find your hips on the ground. Get a long, tall spine growing from the crown of the head. And then if it's comfortable, soften the eyes closed and start to tune inside, asking yourself the question, how am I doing? Starting to locate the breath. And then bring your awareness to your hands. Just kind of wiggle them around, soften them around. Soften the shoulders. Gently float the eyes open, and we're going to focus on the torso. So starting to bring the rib cage in slow, soft spirals. It's kind of waking up, landing in the torso. Moving from the rib cage up, and then switch your direction. And then get nice and tall in the spine and draw the shoulder blades backward, chest forward, and then hollow out the belly. Inhale as you draw it forward. Exhale as you squeeze the shoulders together, hollow out the belly. And bring your spine back to neutral. Bring one shoulder at a time slowly up to the ear, and then back. Nice and slow, starting to feel the shoulders. And then bring your awareness to your hands. Open your fingers nice and wide. And then squeeze into fists. Open wide. Squeeze into fists. Nice and slow. Feeling the muscles of the hands. Feeling the muscles in the wrists. And then bring your fingertips to point to the ground, palms up. And then we're going to take slow circles with the wrists. Slow as you can go. Feeling the muscles in your hands, and then reverse the circles.
It's really hot in here.
It is really hot in here. And then bring the arms out, shoulder height. Push the hands away. Watch for your compensation pattern. So look and check in at the lower back. Push the hands away, and then we're going to take really slow circles. Very, very slow, controlled circles. Feeling the muscles of the shoulders. And then reverse your circles. And then push the hands away and draw the shoulder blades together. Push the hands away and then draw the shoulder blades together. Slowly working through the arms and shoulders, watching for your compensation patterns in the low back. Trying to keep this all upper shoulders. And bring your arms down, roll the shoulder one at a time. And then make your way over to a tabletop. So starting to move and breathe in your tabletop. Inhaling in tabletop, exhaling towards a child's pose shape. Inhale forward, exhale backward. Just connecting with breath and movement. And then begin to take the body forward, bend the elbows a little, push up and back. Nice and slow and controlled, starting to feel the muscles in the shoulders and the chest. Maybe give the stomach a little squeeze towards the spine. Toes can be tucked or untucked. And then find a child's pose. Settle in. Find your breath and center. Come back to a tabletop position. And we're going to use the block here. If you have a block, we're going to place it right in the center between our hands. So we're going to come forward on our arms and shoulders and find some strength. And then we're going to start to bend and lower and then up. Bend the elbows, lower the chest, and then up. And then bring the left hand onto the block, bend and lower. Switch. Left hand down, bend and lower, and then right hand up, bend and lower. So a little changing up with the shape of your hands, using the chest slightly different. And then, if you want to pump this up a little more, you're going to tuck the toes and lift the legs and do the same thing, holding your whole body weight. And then lower the knees if you lifted them. Bring your hands onto the block, your forearms onto the block, palms up, and then sink the hips backwards. Little length in the arms and shoulders. Take the tension out of the neck. Find your breath. Come on back to a tabletop this time. Place the block just outside of your hands, both blocks. So 2 blocks right outside of the hands. I don't know if my mat's going to slip. So finding your hands on the mat. Option to keep the knees down or lift the knees. We're going to bend and then take one hand at a time to the blocks and then bend. Back, lower, onto the blocks, lower. So changing the shape in your shoulders, building strength in different angles. If you want to be a superhero, you're going to try and push up to the blocks. I don't think I have the strength for that. Try and lift both hands at the same time. If you're going to try that, start with your knees down and then lift.
There's no landing light.
So, in yoga, you're supposed to land light. Whenever you get tired, lower the knees. So, watching your strength, if you're buckling in the shoulders, lower the knees, take it smaller. And then sink the hips back, leaving your hands on the blocks. Reset. This time, come on up to tabletop. Take one of your blocks back towards your feet. So just behind your feet, you're going to put your feet on the block. So notice how this changes the shape of your shoulders also. So 1 foot at a time onto the block. Mine's too far back. Hold here. Just hold your high plank. Get really strong. And then bend the elbows and hold. So rather than a push-up, hold. Lower a little bit more. A little bit more. Find that place where you can hold without buckling. Long and strong. I'll keep talking just to torture Kaylee. And then lower the knees. Send the hips back. Child's pose. Keeping your block where it is. You're going to place your feet on the block and come up to a down dog shape with your feet on the block. So notice how this is a little different. Your hips feel a lot higher. Maybe increase the lift of your hips to really feel like you're pulling your hips out of the ground. Release the tension from the head and neck. Find your breath. Breathe. And then begin to bend the knees, lower the heels a little, just working through the backs of the legs. Find the backs of your legs. Have an internal experience. And then look towards the hands and either hop or walk towards the hand. Hop, land light. Find your feet underneath your hips. Bend the knees and let the torso find the thighs and take the tension out of the head. Find your breath. Bend the knees deeply and take a big inhale to rise your arms up overhead. Exhale, draw your prayer down to your heart mountain pose. Find your center, soften the low back. Connecting with our breath, inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale, open. Exhale, prayer to heart. And then begin to add in a baby chair. Inhale, up. Exhale, sink down. Nice and slow and controlled, starting to find the muscles in the legs. And then sink down to a chair, hold. Bring your arms out, shoulder height. Push your arms out. And then bring the right arm all the way up and back, open up to the side. Trying not to move the hips, so squeezing the legs. Feel like you're trying to tear the mat apart. Bring the right arm back to the left. Slowly bring the left arm open, twist. Trying to hold the hips and feet stable with your muscles. And then bring it back. Open up the arms wide. And then squeeze in, hollow at the chest. Open and squeeze. Kaylee's just quitting. Oh, she's going to take the heat anymore.
Way too hot. It's like doing yoga in the sauna.
And then rise up, lower the arms. Bring your prayer back to mountain pose. Center. Interlace your fingers, leaving index separated. Take your fingers up above the head. Really attach the palms, hold them, draw the shoulder blades strong. So really active shoulder blades. And then we're going to take our prayer hands, our clasped hands over to the right, opening up left side body. And back to center, and then over to the left. Back to center, holding our arms like this, begin to sink down into a baby chair. And then bring your hands slowly, shoulder height, leaning forward. Engage the legs, so feel like you're trying to tear them apart with your feet. Engage, engage, engage. Take a deep inhale. With the exhale, we're going to take our prayer past our left knee. Inhale up. Exhale over. Inhale up. Exhale over. Engage the arms, whole body active. Only thing that should be soft is your face. And then bring it all the way up to stand. Release the arms, take slow circles with the wrists all the way down. And then we'll come to a balancing sequence, so bringing our weight onto the right foot. Slowly, without moving the hips, bring the left foot forward. Hold and engage. Now we're slowly going to send the left knee past the right. And come to our warrior three. Slowly lower that back foot down, high lunge. So find your steady base. Really strong legs. Bring your prayer to your heart. We're going to inhale, straighten up the legs. Exhale, lower. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. Trying to engage the legs and find the muscles in the legs. If you like, you begin to bring the hands into the practice. So inhale, lift arms up. Exhale, sweep the arms down. Bring it down. Hold with a long, strong bend in the back leg. And then send the hips back towards the back foot, starting to straighten up the front. Bring the torso forward, starting to find a little opening in that front leg. And then bend back into the front leg. Weight onto the right, back the way we came. See if you can pop up through warrior three. Bend the knee and bring it all the way to stand. Nice and slow and with control. And then lower it down. Pedal out the feet. Connect with the breath in mountain pose. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Rest in your mountain pose, center. Weight onto the left leg, watching the hips. Bring the right leg forward, engage and hold. So leg is engaged, balance. Slowly send the right knee past the left into warrior three. And then slowly lower the back leg down, high lunge, other side. Find your base, get really strong in your base. Inhale as you straighten the legs. Exhale as you bend both. Lower the back leg down towards the ground. Inhale up. Exhale down. Arms can stay at prayer or they can reach up and bring you back down. Bring it down to a deep bend in the back leg. Hold. Send the hips back towards the back heel and start to straighten up the front. Bring the torso forward. Bend back into the front leg. Bring the weight onto the front leg and go back the way we came. Popping up the back leg. Warrior 3. Bending the back knee and bring it all the way up to stand. Active, strong leg. And then bring it down and tap it out. Back to mountain pose, connect with the breath. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Bring your prayer to heart and center in mountain pose. If you have the band, option to wrap the band around the lower legs just above the ankle. And we're going to take a big side step, opening up the legs wide and pushing the legs into the band. If you don't have the band, just imagine you have the band, engaging the legs. Keeping your block handy. Push your legs into the band first. So really engaging the legs. Tall in the spine and then folding forward. So hold your fold with your torso about hip height. Breathe. And then if you have a block, just resting your fingertips onto the block just to help you keep your torso up. We're going to take the hips. So it's a really tiny movement, moving the hips left and right. You're going to find the inner thigh. So really slow and with control, engaging into the band or imagining that you're engaging into the band. Make sure your feet are now turned parallel or comfortable for your ankles. If that's not comfortable, change your feet. You're going to bend into the left leg and hold on to the block. So you're going to move the block a little bit more towards the left leg. Bend into the left leg, bring the weight into the left leg, and pull right leg up. So pull it up. If you have the band, you're pulling into the band, and then you're going to lower the toes and lift. You're going to find that right hip area outside of the leg.
My leg doesn't lift.
Bend into the left knee. I like to keep an eye on my lower back by placing my hand here on my hips just to make sure I'm not like overcompensating in my low back. Nice and slow, with control. Keep squeezing. Lower the right foot down. Switch sides, bring the block over towards the right leg. A little bend in the right knee. Just so you can take the weight onto the right leg. The left foot comes to the toes. And then squeeze the left leg up and lower. Squeeze it up. Engaging back into the bend, bringing your block back to center. And then bend one knee at a time, nice and slow and with control. Slowly bring the feet back in so that they're underneath the hips. Release your band, step out of your band. Have it. Bend into the knees, inhale deeply, rise up, prayer overhead. And bring your prayer back to mountain pose. Center, find your breath. This time inhale up and swan dive it down. Touch the ground. Step back, high plank. Hold your high plank. Slowly lower the knees and all the way down to crocodile pose. So one hand on top of the other. Forehead down. Shimmy the hips. Find your breath. What can you let go of? We're going to move and breathe here. So bringing your hands just for balance. Thinking about lifting our shoulders, not our head. We're going to inhale as we lift and exhale as we lower. Starting to find the muscles on the back line. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Maybe starting to lift the arms. Finding all the muscles in the back and try to make sure you're not using one group more than the other. So squeeze the glutes, squeeze the low back, squeeze the mid back, squeeze the upper back, but nothing more than the other. So watch your compensation patterns. Watch for which muscles are more likely to grip. Maybe begin to lift the toes. And then bring your shoulders up, lift and hover and hold. You can have your fingertips down or raised. If you have them down, you're just going to turn the right shoulder a little bit towards the right hip, back through center, and then the left shoulder a little bit towards the left hip. If your arms are up, you're going to bring elbow towards hip. Find your strength, so don't push. Find where you're strong and build strength there before you move ahead. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck. Try to keep your whole body long, as if you're trying to make space from the crown of the head to the tailbone. And then bring it down, crocodile pose. Shimmy the hips and reset. Let go. If you have a band or a strap, you can bring your right heel up and wrap the band or strap around just underneath the right ankle. Then you're going to push in to the strap. Start to lift the leg. So lift the knee, push the leg into the strap. Watch for compensation patterns. You can bring a block in underneath your head. So you're trying to find the thigh. So right thigh, engage, push the leg away. Right thigh. Engage, engage, engage. Should be able to feel it in the back of the right thigh. Push the leg away. Push into the band. If you have your hand, you can push it into it. Maybe the strap is too short. Push, 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 engage. So you're lifting the knee up off the ground. And then pushing the leg away from the body. Loosen, switch side. Watch for what you're doing in your back. We're just working the back of the legs. You can feel it in the front too. Depends which foot you're doing. So flex the foot, active leg. Push into the band. So you're pushing back away from the shoulder. Squeeze the glutes. And then loosen. Switch. Let go of the band, I mean. If you can, my foot is tangled. Bring the legs down. Shimmy the hips. And then we're going to bring the left knee slowly towards the left shoulder. Bring it up towards the left shoulder about hip height. Press the ankle down. So knee is about 90 degrees. Ankle is about 90 degrees. Press the ankle down and then try to lift the left knee. Watch for your compensation pattern. So you're just trying to find the muscles around the hip. Look at the low back. The low back's going to want to do some work. So try to just find muscles in around the glute area. Pressing the left ankle down, trying to lift the left knee. Slowly slide it back. Bring the right knee towards the right shoulder. About a 90-degree angle for the knee and the ankle. So flexing the foot, push the heel into the ground and find a lift in the right knee. So you're trying to lift the right knee. Squeeze the whole glutes. Activate the hip. Watch for your compensation pattern. And then bring it down. Bring the feet up towards the ceiling and sway the feet side to side. Nice and slow and soft. Lower the feet. Bring the hands about underneath the shoulders. Lift up the shoulders, nice and soft, not strong. We're going to lift up and then we're going to turn and look at our right foot, lower the left shoulder, and then switch, turn and look at the left foot, lower the right shoulder. So just moving through all of the space, all of the movements that you can find in the upper back and the shoulders. And then bring it back to center. Take the arms out ahead of the shoulders. Bless you. Sorry, dust from the tavern, not corona, I promise. Take the arms out ahead. We're going to lift the left arm and the right leg. And imagine someone grabbed your fingertips and grabbed your toes and made you longer. Then lower, switch sides, right arm, left leg. What?
I stretched. My right hand was here, my left hand was really far ahead.
Bring it back down. And then shimmy the hips, loosen. We're going to do a breath cleansing process. So bringing our hands to Sphinx, forearms down. So find that place where your shoulders are comfortable. Watch for buckling. Lift up, engage the arms. Watch for compensation patterns or pinching in the low back. You can bring your forearms further forward, make more space for your back. Pull your chest as if you're pulling it through the shoulders. And we're going to do ha breath, lion's breath. So we're going to inhale and ha out with our tongue out. 3 times, and then you return to crocodile pose. So make sure you're nice and set up, comfortable. Take a deep breath in to prepare. Bring it on down to crocodile pose. And notice any sensations that come up. We're going to slowly roll on over to our backs. It's not Shavasana time. So, find that position where your back is comfortable. Wiggle the hips. Try not to flatten the low back to the ground. Find your natural curves. Find the natural curve in your neck. Let your neck soften. Move your feet so your feet are comfortable and your knees are comfortable and your hips are comfortable. So maybe your feet are a little closer, maybe they're further away, maybe they're wider than the hips, maybe they're closer. Find your own internal experience rather than someone else's rules. Have your own experience. Place your feet on the ground and feel your feet on the ground. Place your shoulders on the ground and feel your shoulders on the ground. And then we're going to inhale and lift the hips and exhale and lower. And we're not looking for a giant curve in the spine. We're looking to just engage the muscles in the front line and the muscles in the back line and lift and lower, connecting with our breath. So inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Starting to move and breathe. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Once you get the hang of the movement, start to really tune in. Find the muscles in the back of the legs and the glutes. Squeeze, engage. And then find the muscles in the lower core. Squeeze and engage. Watch for your compensation patterns. What's happening in your neck. Try to keep your chin up to the ceiling and your neck soft. And then lift the hips, and if this is comfortable, squeeze a block in underneath the hips. So rest it right on the sacrum. Lower the hips onto the block. So start to feel the block underneath there. Feel the shoulders on the ground. And maybe you can start to lengthen the legs. If this pulls in any way, bring the knees back. If you feel it unpleasantly in the spine in any way, any pinching, bring the knees back up, feet to the ground. If you lengthen the legs, bring the feet back to the ground, knees up. Press into the feet to lift the hips a little. Remove the block. Place the block in underneath the right foot. Might need to wiggle it around. My block is my mat is too sticky to make the block move. Okay, place the block underneath the right foot. So we're gonna do the same thing, only this time we're gonna lift with one foot on the block. So inhale, lift the hips. And exhale, lower. Notice how it feels a little different on the right leg. And then maybe you can press into the right leg, lift the hips, and bring the left knee up to the ceiling and hold. Strengthen the core, strengthen the back, really pushing into the block with the right leg, squeezing the right glute, squeezing the core. Watch your neck, make sure your neck is nice and soft. And then lower the hips, lower the foot, switch sides with your block. So the block's going to come underneath the left foot. Engage. So really strong. Inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, lower. And then press into the left foot, lift the hips, and maybe lift the right knee to the ceiling. Left leg is very engaged. Maybe even pulling the toes towards the shin to remind you how much you should be engaging both legs. Breathe. And then slowly lower the hips, lower the right leg. Take a little sway. Place a block in between the feet. Soften, loosen. Grab the block with your feet. Place it between the shins. So start to engage the hips. You're going to push the hips into the ground and then squeeze the block with your shins. And then lower the feet back down to the ground. Squeezing the block in between the shins. Really engaging, then squeeze the glutes. Press the shoulders into the ground, the hips into the ground, and then take the knees side to side while squeezing the block. So your heels are going to lift off one at a time. Your hip might lift off one at a time. Squeeze the block. Find that lower core muscle. So really tight in close to the spine should be working. And then bring the knees in. Release the block. Give yourself a little hug. Can we quit already? It really is not. Take your feet up to the ceiling. Wiggle the toes. Take ankle circles. Start to release. Lower the left foot to the ground, knee up, right foot remains up. You can hold on to the leg or place a strap around the foot. Press into the strap, find the back of the leg. So watch for your hips. You want to find the back of the leg without trying to lift this right hip and get your knee to your nose. Find the back of the leg, push into the strap. And then slowly opening both legs. So let the left knee drop towards the side. Bring the right foot over to the right. Find the inner thigh. You can move the foot nice and slow. You can bring the foot up closer or further away. Breathe. Watch for the lower back. So any compensation patterns that are happening in the lower back, either bring the foot closer to center or bring the hands onto the hips and squeeze the hips down into the ground with the stomach, trying to make sure that the lower back is not doing the work here. Slowly bring the right foot across midline, maybe switching the hand that has the strap. And just bring it across the midline a little bit. Push towards the ceiling and feel the outside of that right hip. So you're drawing the hip down into the ground and pushing the foot away. Bring it back to center. Uh-oh, we lost our stream. Return the right foot down, left foot up. Press the left foot to the ceiling. Find the back of the left leg. Slowly open up both legs. Right leg, right knee comes towards right, left leg comes towards the left. Watching for the low back, press the hips into the ground. Slowly bringing the left leg through midline and just a little bit over towards the right. Press the foot to the ceiling and press the hip into the ground. And then release the foot, bring the left foot back to the ground, knee up, and take a little wiggle side sway with the hips. Cross the right knee over the left, draw the knees in towards the chest and feet to opposite shoulders. Slowly unravel and switch sides. Left over right, feet towards opposite shoulders. Unravel both feet on the ground, knees up. And just take a little lift and lower of the hips, wiggling the hips. So trying to get nice vibrations and softness and looseness. Cellular reset. Looking to soften and reset the lower body. You can wiggle side to side. You can lift and lower, whichever feels better for loosening the muscles. And then taking the right foot all the way to the outer edge of the mat. Taking the left foot to the outer edge of the mat. Lengthening. Find the body in a long, open position. Find the hips on the ground. Adjust to soften the lower back. Find the shoulders on the ground and adjust to soften and loosen and reset any tension in the shoulders and the neck. And then you can either remain in this position for your final resting pose or adjust for whatever is more comfortable for your body in your practice right now, making choices. Always having choices for your own body and your own practice. Starting to release control of the breath. And taking a moment to ask yourself that question from the beginning of practice: how am I? Noticing perhaps a different answer. And when you ask yourself this question, can you give yourself the kindness and patience and understanding that you would for a dear friend? Opening to listen to the answers without judgment. A little patience, a little understanding. Tuning in to the messages in the body. Tuning in to the emotional state. And tuning in to the whirling of the thoughts. And as if softening your focus, dropping below all those layers. 'Cause, 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 'cause Traveling deeper and deeper inside. So if you could slowly leave the layer of the physical body. Slowly leave the emotional and energetic layers. Slowly drop below the mind, the layers of the thoughts. Traveling deeper and deeper within and getting quieter and quieter. Journeying towards the heart center. The spiritual center. Your essential layer, your bliss layer. Resting in this center layer. Take a few moments to think about any obstacles to this layer that you might be ready to shed. When we think about shedding obstacles, we're releasing the emotional burden of something. We're not pretending that it didn't happen, an experience didn't happen. We're not pretending things didn't go a certain way. We're not trying to adjust history or experiences. But ask yourself within this space, are there any of the weight, the emotional weight, the burden that I'm ready to release? don't need to understand the answers cognitively. Just be open to softening a little more. And if you're particularly visual, perhaps just thinking of shedding a layer, shedding some weight, like you're carrying some lead weights in your pockets, and you're just going to put them down on the mat and leave them there. Maybe there's some judgments that you've placed upon yourself, that you're ready to not judge as negative or positive, but just allow them to be part of the whole experience of being you. When we sever ourselves and judge one side as dark and one side as light, we are not whole. The process of becoming whole is learning to accept all of the parts of ourselves. It's just part of the experience of being this person. Slowly making your way over into a fetal position if you're not already there. Curling up in a tiny little ball. And imagining that you still are just this bliss center, connected into this bliss center. The spark of life that we begin with. The part of us that remains unchanged by our experiences or the harsh judgments that we place upon ourselves. And slowly returning to the room, beginning to feel the temperature of the room, connecting to your senses. Place a hand on the ground and feel the ground below you. And then slowly return to a seated position and bring your hands to prayer at heart space. Connect with this posture, this seated position, bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart. A gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. Imagine that our hands of prayer at this heart space could seal in a little connection. This is our secret shortcut to our bliss center. A place where we can tune out all the other layers in the outside world and just arrive in this center. May we all know love, light, and connection.